It's like a depression smoothie. Boo. She's like, you ever just want to beat racism up? That's this. And it was like really satisfying, actually.
What's it making, Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka worked the factory. Change the world. Your imagination.
It could change the world.
Hey babes, my name's Steph. This is going to be a bi-monthly wrap-up. I read 19 books recently, and that's not including the books that I didn't count because I DNF'd them. If you're new here, welcome. Let me know what your best book of the summer is down below. And forgive me if I'm running on 2 brain cells because I am currently recovering from a cold. If you'd like to support my channel to get more content like this and to support a small creator who runs multiple book clubs, consider becoming a channel member at any level to get access to all of my discords, additional downloadable content, and to support my shenanigans. Alright, so according to my Storygraph stats, in July I read 9 books, and in August I read 10 books, for a total of 5,388 pages. My most read categories are manga, science fiction, horror, LGBTQIA+, which again is not a genre, and literary fiction. Let's start off with, what do I feel like starting off with today? I don't even know. Let's start off with like a new favorite book, and this is probably actually my favorite book of the summer, also contender for favorite book of the year. This is Black AF History. You can tell how much I loved it by the amount of tabs that I have in this. I have an entire 1-hour video review in which I feel like I barely touched on everything that was mentioned in here that blew my freaking mind. If you are an American like me and you feel like you were not given a quality history education and you would like to go on a re-education journey with me, I highly suggest that you pick this up. Michael Harriot does such a good job of breaking down these really important and complex topics in a way that's very easy for anyone to grasp and is actually really hilarious. I laughed at this. I cried at this. It might put an entirely new light on the way that you see American history and frames a lot of things that are happening currently in our political landscape for what they really are. 10 of 10. I don't know what I gotta do to make you pick this up, so I don't care if you don't even subscribe to me from this video. Just go read this book. I promise you it's probably going to change your life. She's like, you ever just want to beat racism up? That's this. And it was like really satisfying, actually. Freaking 5 stars. Amazing. It's probably going to be in my top 10 books of the year list. I can see why so many people recommended this to sinners, because they're right. It's pretty spot on. I loved how fast-paced this was. I love the characters. It's also got cosmic horror. It really is like a monsterification. What's the word when you, I guess personification is when you turn things into people. Monsterification, whatever. It's the triple K is literally monsters, and it is this kind of like the manifestation of evil that is racism and white supremacy. Quite literally, there's references to various forms of folklore in Black diaspora. We've got haints, we've got spirits, we've got this otherworldly thing that feeds off of fear and vengeance and hatred. There's heaven, there might be a hell, I don't know. So if you know anything about the history of what an actual ring shout is, I will say that that does play into this, but I don't want to explain that because I feel like because it's so short, it might be a spoiler. But if you're looking for some really action-packed, badass, female, Black main characters, and like the downfall of racism, I was also sent by Tor an e-arc for To Clutch a Razor and also an e-galley for One Among Crows, both by Veronica Roth. I read these on my Kindle. They're novellas. I actually really liked these. I gave both of these 4 stars, and I'm actually I kind of want physical copies for my shelf because this was fun. This was a dark fantasy. It followed a lot of Slavic folklore. Our main characters are a Striga, Azmora, and it's in this time period, like early 2000s, I want to say, where monsters do exist among humans, but they've all kind of started different businesses in order to be able to feed off of humans while not necessarily like eating anybody. So, for example, the Zamoras feed off of fear, so they start a horror movie theater and they all work there so they can just feed off of people's fears while they watch movies. Or the Strigas, I think, feed off of anger. I think it's anger. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. So they start like a boxing company and run a boxing ring. And it's like that is really cool. So the way that magic works in this world is very much about what you're willing to sacrifice and like give and receive. And the enemy is actually a group of humans called the Holy Knights, who are reminiscent of like Catholicism, Christianity, and like a lot of like human religions who use magic but are able to wield magic based on a different kind of sacrifice, based on penance. And so these two magic systems are essentially at war because one is trying to eradicate the other. It's really interesting. I loved our main characters. I thought it was the perfect length. Actually, highly recommend it. And I cannot wait for the third one. I don't know how long this series is going to go, but I see the third one being set up pretty perfectly. And it's also queer. So it's great. Let's talk about a positive. This is DandaDan volumes. Oh, I'm holding this upside down. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I've been so obsessed with DandaDan. So obsessed. I actually ordered 2 more volumes. I love the vibrancy of these colors. They match my nails. Why? Everything else in this video right now is very dull, but I'm a super bright and colorful person. This is everything. This series is hilarious. I love these characters because they're so dumb and I love them. It's a horror comedy. It deals with some very serious topics such as SA, but it deals with them in ways where I don't feel like there is a kind of glorification of SA at all. The plot is like, what plot? It's side quest upon side quest. We're being introduced to all kinds of cryptids and yokai. Occasionally, we do head back into the main storyline of they're looking for Okurun's golden transformed ball because he's currently got one ball. Once in a while, it comes back around, but it's like the plot's there, but the plot's not really. It's fine. One of their friends is currently possessed by a demon, but he doesn't want to be exorcised because he wants to be best friends with the evil spirit. And they love him, so they're trying to defeat the evil spirit with child logic. And there's a heavy metal band, and now we have kaiju, and it's great. The thing that keeps pissing me off is I keep buying volumes, and I just so happen to be up to date with the show at the time that I'm reading that volume. So it's like, damn, I want to go ahead and see what happens next. And I can't read them fast enough. God damn it. Then we have This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. This was the August Sci-Fi Book Club pick, which we are going to be reviewing on September 7th. I had a good time with this, and I would not recommend this to everybody, honestly. It's a cosmic horror, and it's sad. It's sad as fuck. It's really about this guy who's dealing with a haunting after losing his wife. Originally, I thought this was going to be more sci-fi because it talks about something that's similar to an Alexa that is making like weird packages be delivered to their house. He's waking up in the middle of the night, keeps trying to open up a non-existent door in the wall. They find this old woman who may have been doing some kind of like sacrifices in their apartment before they lived there. Anyway, from the jump, his wife, he's at the funeral for his wife. So just like be prepared for sadness. This book is Mexican heritage, folklore, and just straight up depression. Just like shot after shot of depression. Not even, it's like a depression smoothie. Okay, this is Rose House. I'm just gonna put the prettier cover on the screen here. I didn't like this. It sucked. It was the July pick for the Sci-Fi Book Club. novella by Arcadia Martin, whose writing I actually do love because I love their other books, but this book made no sense. I actually read it twice. I listened to it, and then I read it with my eyeballs, and I was like, what the fuck? This was dumb. I didn't like the resolution of it. What was mentioned during our live stream of this was that it was written at a time when AI was relatively new, but even within the past like 5 years, the ways that we perceive the function of AI and the potentiality of AI is already outdated. So it felt very corny in some ways. I don't know if that just speaks more to our times or if it's just that the book is bad. But yeah, I'm not going to be recommending this. Boo. All right. I read Disfigured for it was the nonfiction pick for the annotation station in July, and I didn't like it. I think I give this a 2. I don't even know. It's one of those books where it's like because the author is mostly talking about their lived experience, it's lacking a certain level of depth that would have come from someone who is a professional in this field. So they themselves acknowledge that there are a lot of points that are lacking in this. They are lacking a bit more of a worldview. Maybe what I suggested was like interviews of other people who are of other disabilities to talk about this. It's disability rep in fairy tales, and I just feel like this didn't go deep enough. It was very much like cis white woman lens. And it's like, yeah, valid, because that's what the author is. But this book focused on going in a couple of the directions that one felt like it could have just been an entirely other book in and of itself about misogyny in old school fairy tales, but also it just lacked a broader view on these topics. So, it was okay, but it could have been better. I have such a complicated relationship with the Ring series, with Spiral, because it's very much sci-fi, and it's one of those series where I feel like in some ways it's so bad that it's good. Because every time I finish, like this is the second time I finished this second book. The first one was Ring, and by Koji Suzuki, and I'm like, I'm mad, but I can't stop reading it because it's so unique. It's so interesting, and I can totally see where it informed a whole genre of science fiction around the horrors and like evolution of disease as again the monsterification of diseases. I don't know, and ghosts and things, but like it's not a ghost, but is it kind of? I don't know. A little bit cosmic, a little bit not, and I'm just like I don't know what to do with this. Oh, if it's that like I, I'm like simultaneously mad at it and I simultaneously like can't get enough. I don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you to read it. I'm not telling anybody to read it. I'm actually like, what the fuck is this? What do I do with you? I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I have a weird relationship with this. Okay, listen. Only Ava fans are going to get this. It's giving Human Instrumentality Project. That's what I keep saying. So, like, because I'm a really huge Neon Genesis Evangelion fan, it's hitting a very specific chord with me where I'm like, well, now I gotta know how it ends. But I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody else to read it. So do what you will with that, I guess. This sucked. I ended up DNFing this. Um, Man, I've read some pretty bad books this summer, actually, now I think about it. I think most of the books that are going to be on my like worst books of the year list, I read this summer. Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tesh. This felt like it had so many missed opportunities for having some really cool commentary about women being placed into these military settings where they're forced to train into this kind of like universal program for good citizenship in a future space colony, but then ultimately end up being boiled down to surface level like breeding programs. I don't know. It could have been this whole thing, and it wasn't. I don't understand what the fucking point of anything was. everything just kind of felt like surface level and ham-fisted, and I'm like, nothing about this felt organic to me. So bleh. This one also pissed me the fuck off. I had so many things to say about this. This is my first Ocean Vuong book. I wanted to love this. I really did. I ended up having to move over to audio because the first chapter was 6 pages of describing the atmosphere of a New England town. And I live in New England. And by page 3, I was like, bro, get on with it. I get it. There's a McDonald's over there. There's train tracks over here. There's a swamp over there. Like, bro, go somewhere. This did not need to be 400 pages. This felt like 2 books, 2 stories that were forced together into one story because at its core, it's about mundanity and the impermanence of life, the impermanence of experience, and how identity is formed through the way that we move through the impermanence of time, space, location. But I don't understand why it ended the way that it did, because we made no like character arc who? Because this was a very character driven book. So with very character driven books, especially something that is about these heavy topics, I would expect some kind of arc, and I didn't get it. And I'm mad. I'm very mad about that. I feel like I can see why some people would love this, but I feel like I could keep talking for another hour about why I feel like this did not succeed at its goal, from what I understand of it. So I will just go ahead and link that review up above. But this wasn't it. This wasn't it for me. No. A Murderous Business by Kathy Pagot. I DNF'd this. I tried it because I thought I wanted to try some more mysteries, and a murder mystery sounds fun. It's an old school New York City, or is it Chicago? It might be Chicago. I don't know, 1920s. It felt very much as like a caricature of feminism, and that didn't work for me because our main character, I feel like every chance we got, she was telling me, and the events were telling me that she's a forward-thinking progressive feminist, but I didn't see any action. And I think I got like, I don't know, did I get a quarter of the way through this? I don't even know how far I got into this, but like, I was like, dude, don't tell me, show me. But I think the final nail in the coffin for this, again, people feel how they feel. I'm not a fan of age gaps. Again, that is very subjective, because it's like, if it's an older couple, like someone who's like 30 and their partner's 40, or one is 26 and the other's like 33 or something, like I can get behind certain age gaps, and like the older the couple is, actually more can get behind the age gap. But there's something about the characters being younger with a bigger age gap that it just doesn't, no, that's a hard no for me. And both of these women were adults. It was Sapphic, but I think one of them was like 21 or 22, and the other one was like 32, 33, I want to say, because I feel like I remember saying the main character's like around my age. And I'm like, that gap's too big. No. The other one's still a baby. 21 is a baby. No. Sorry. Doesn't work for me. And then I have 3 copies of Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. So, I got one as an arc from Tor, which I am forever thankful for because I freaking love this. Amazing. 5 stars. Incredible. And then me and my partner went to the book tour and both got signed copies when we met Chuck Tingle. So I have 3 copies, and I'm very much treasuring all of them. This was so freaking good. I had a blast. It's cosmic horror, which again is my favorite kind of horror. It is sad. It deals with depression. It is absurdist. It is everything that I wanted it to be and more. If you liked Bury Your Gaze, I will say, which I also loved, I will say that this is different in the sense that the queerness that was at the forefront of the plot in Bury Your Gaze is a little bit secondary here because our main character, Vera, is bi and she is experiencing bi erasure. There is a lot going on between her dealing with her family, dealing with her fiance, and like her just dealing with not being recognized as a bisexual. However, that is not necessarily integral to the plot. Her gay is not being buried. So if you liked Bury Your Gays for the way that the plot wrapped itself around the queer identity, this isn't that. This is much more focused on absurdity and horror, and it is very much sci-fi from the beginning because it is about statistics and probability and like what would you do if you were a scientist who basically learned that everything you studied your entire life about science was completely wrong. It's very much giving three-body problems. Oh, I also read an arc of Messy Food Freaks Volume 1 by Carole de Rosa. This was sent to me by the author. Thank you so much for sending me a copy in exchange for a review. This was cute. It was really cute. So here's one thing to know about me reading erotica, right? Like I do read erotica occasionally and I do like romance. I am very demisexual, so I need a buildup of tension or romance or like emotional connection between my characters. Now, the way that this did work for me is that our main couple from the very beginning is very much in love. They're super sweet. I actually adore them and their relationship. This was like a very wholesome erotica. It was very bisexual, them opening up their relationship, coming to terms with both of them and their bisexuality, and finding a person who has very similar kinks to them that they found on a food kink app who's looking to have fun and explore, which eventually leads them to becoming a throuple. And there's a little bit of drama towards the end that I would have liked to be like restructured a little bit, just because again, I'm a plot girly and I'm very demi, so for it to be like very heavy on the erotica for most of the book, I struggle with that, but that's an in general thing. That's a me thing. I recognize that and I still say like this was very sweet. It was very wholesome. Their communication, adorable. The way that they create a safe space for each other, adorable. And so like I was rooting for the characters the whole time. It's one of those things where like because the drama's so secondary, it just felt kind of silly, but if you want like a feel good erotica, I guess, yeah, I would recommend this one. I read a Stephen Graham Jones, The Babysitter Lives and Killer on the Road. I ended up, this is one of those newer format books, I think, or at least this is my first time coming across it, where it's like two books in one. I DNF'd Killer on the Road and I strongly disliked The Babysitter Lives. Killer on the Road was okay for me, but I got kind of bored at a certain point. I don't know. I just like, it was one of those situations where every time I put it down, I just kind of forgot about it. I wasn't really feeling the horror aspect of it so much, and I wasn't really connecting with the way that the character stories were being framed. Like I feel like the pacing at which we learned about characters felt a little backwards. I kind of wanted that to be switched around, but I don't know, that could just be a me thing. It's fine. This is the first time that I've ever really disliked a Stephen Graham Jones book. The Babysitter Lives really rubbed me the wrong way. I strongly disliked it. And I'm going to put a spoiler on the screen right here so you could skip ahead, because I don't think that there's a way for me to talk about this without spoiling anything. And I don't even think it's like a spoiler because it like doesn't make too much of a difference on the plot. It just is a thing that was there and it made me really uncomfortable. But there is a sexualization of the teenage babysitter from the father where he actually like jerks his to her, and there's like a parallel universe thing that happens where she sleeps with him, and I'm like, why? And then his jizz is used in a toy alligator to hide it, and then it like becomes giant, and then there's like giant jizz, and I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, that happened. And I wish it didn't. Anyway, end spoiler. Okay, I'm pretty sure. I think that's everything. If you've gotten this far, drop a lemon. Because I'm wearing lemons and I like lemons. I'm gonna take my butt to the doctor right now and get over this cold. I post videos whenever I feel like it. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Mr. Wonka worked the